Hello and welcome, this is Eagle-Eye621, and what you see behind me is nothing except for a tree, and I currently need some wood in one of my builds. Now, my friend told me this was some sort of a sacred tree, but I don't really like that guy anyways, so he's probably lying. So let's grab some of these perfect armor, something I would typically be wearing. Right? Not God armor. There'll be a link in the description. And of course, one of these perfect axes. And let's go chop down that tree. Oh. Maybe it was a sacred special tree? And this has been some terrible acting with Eagle-Eye621. Because we're... I hope it wasn't a sacred tree, because the tree is now gone. But anyways, that's been some terrible acting with Eagle-Eye621, because we are here to talk about the Sculk Sensor and some Sculk Sensor traps. So let's take a look at this block, let's figure out how to set it up as a trap, and figure out all this detection stuff. And to start with, let's see what kind of detection range we have. And you can see that the sensor is right there, and it has an 8-block radius. That means it's in a circle away from it. So anywhere on here, if I were to make some noise, drop, have some steps, you see that it does activate. And it can be blocked by wool, which is what you see right here. Now, very interesting, the actual location of the wool and the wool blocker is not based on a direct line of sight, but it's based on what appears to be the center of the block. So you can see that if I drop down right here, it doesn't get set off, but if I go here, it does. So obviously, this point is more direct line of sight than this point, so it's calculating from the center of the block. As I said, this goes in all directions, so you can see up here we have it set off as well. Now the wool blocks it in this pattern you see, and I've also made this glass red right here, but this does present a problem, because if we're making a trap, you need to be able to kill the player if he sets it off here, or over here, or way up here. So how exactly are you going to not waste a tremendous amount of resources and focus it? And that's with this wool. So you can see what happens if we put some wool directly here. You can see the sensor is just like that. What that looks like is anywhere on these stone blocks, it will set it off, and it also starts to come back up right here. And you can see red will not set it off, and green will. And the stone down here, of course, will as well. So depending on how far away it is, you also have to look into how much time you have to move, because it moves, the detection range is 1 block per tick. So if you were to set something off way up here, by the time it goes off, I'm all the way over here. So it's not just about where you set it off, it's about how close you can get it. And we can do some targeting. There's a couple of interesting things to note. Number one, if we have this over here, there does appear to be some directionality issues, because you can see that a block like this doesn't set it off, whereas over here, it will. So you do have to worry about some directionality depending on your build. If you want to make it that 1 block, then you need to make sure that you have 2 of these wool blocks above it, and then we can keep it into this 1 block area. And then if we're doing something sideways, then again, if there's only 1 block there, then we do have this come out to 1 and then 3. But here we get to stay 1 for 2 of them, and if that's 3 blocks away. Now, interestingly enough, there is a little quirk, which is why I have this block right here, because it's based on your character's position. So as I turn on the F3 screen and you realize my terrible computer, pay attention to the coordinates. Now, if you look when I jump up here, it does not go off. But as I shift this way, you can see that I'm actually in a new block. So this is negative 1303, nothing. Now this is actually negative 1304, even though I'm still technically standing on this block. The center of my character is now in the next block, and that does set it off. So it's not actually the block that you're standing on. It actually appears to be where the center of the character is in terms of where this is going to be. So in terms of what I've found from my trapping, I like this particular pattern the best, where it's a 3x3, so that you get all of your TNT nice and close. The reaction time is very fast, and you don't have to worry about one single block. So something like this setup, you can see dancing around does nothing, but in the 3x3, it will set it off, and it is fast even with the extra redstone delays. So now how do you build this trap? And we have a nice little box where I can build it in, and then I can show you in the real world, and then I'll actually even show you a little diagram so you can make sure you see all of the points. But these are the materials that you're going to need for the trap. You're going to need 17 blocks of wool. It can be any color. You're going to want 4 powered rails. You are going to need a single Sculk Sensor, as well as a dot of redstone dust. And then the minecarts with TNT is dependent on what you think the person is going to be wearing. So the better the armor, the more TNT. You can have some fun with some extra regular TNT as well. And then you're going to want a placer block. And the grass is just whatever you have on top. It doesn't have to be grass. It can be literally any block in the game that you want, as long as it's not wool. Then you'll be perfectly fine. Now, the order in which you build this is highly important as well. And let's get these into the inventory. You're going to start by making a little plus sign here with your wool. And then you're going to come up diagonally on either side, just like this. You're going to have your rails pointing away from the center and your redstone dot in the middle. Make sure that it looks like that, not like this, just to make sure everything works properly in whatever the future versions you're going to have. You're going to put your placer block on top. This is your temporary block, just like this. And then we're going to surround this also with some additional wool in this configuration, so that next to these powered rails is going to be covered in wool. And we're going to do that on just about all the sides, but we're going to not do it on every single side because we need to still be able to get in here. And now we're going to place down our TNT. These are our minecarts with TNT. I'm just going to do 3 on each side. It's 1, 2, and 3. Another 1, 2, and 3. And 1, 2, and 3. So some counting with Eagle Eye 621 as well. Now, we're actually going to remove this block in a second, but we're leaving it there so that we can figure out what our detection is. Our detection is these blocks right here. So it's the plus sign and over, and it's this 3x3 which will set off our explosive. So you want to put some grass on this, do that now. Once you prime this with the Sculk Sensor, you cannot change this or you will be in a world of hurt and you will set off your own trap. Now you can put the rest of these blocks back if you would like. And this is also the time where if you want to have some extra TNT fun, you can add some extra TNT around the outside, just like this, as much as you want. Again, the TNT minecarts are generally going to be enough to kill the person and they get set off instantly, which is why we use them. But for that extra sized crater, you can definitely put these in. Let me move that so we have a little bit of space. And let's fill in all of these nice crevices right here. And we're going to get our grass all the way around. And this is the dangerous part. This is the part where you can kill yourself and you need to do things specifically in a specific order. This is why we don't have the sensor down just yet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this block and we're going to put the sensor here. Now, do not move at all. Hold shift if you must. Put a little extra block here if you want. But you're going to stay in the exact same position. Put the sensor in, and then instantly we're going to put our white wool right back there next to it, and then right here. And do make sure it's wool. If you put a different block, you are officially dead. And now that that is properly set, this trap is mostly safe unless you trigger the one spot, and that being the 3x3, where this can trigger from. We're going to fill the rest of this in with our extra TNT, and we're going to put our grass blocks here, and you can see there's nothing there to detect, no string, no nothing. This outside block is completely safe, but if you make the mistake of walking into this 3x3 right here, instant death. Big explosions. Big fan. And the person doesn't have time to react. Now, if you're doing this in the real world, you're going to want to dig down 2. So to see what that looks like out here, away from any animals that are going to set this trap off, because that would be a little bit bad. All right, it's curse of the YouTube recording videos. We're going to just come over here, and if you are a fan of PETA, close your eyes. Sorry, buddy. Is anybody else here? Don't come close to me. You're going to want to dig down 2. So let's get rid of this, and we're going to come in here. As I said, we're going to dig down 2 extra and give ourselves a bunch of space. And what we're looking for is within this 2 that we've dug down, we're going to want to have our plus sign somewhere here, like this. And this is the foundation of that last trap. We're coming up just like this. And we have our red dot here, and we have our rails just like this, with our wool going to be next to it and above it. And now we put in our TNT minecarts. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. Some bonus counting with Eagle Eye 621. I'm not going to do any extra TNT, but we can see if we clear a little bit of this area that we have our redstone dust in there ready that is properly pointed. We know that our plus sign comes out to here in terms of where we need to be. So let's make some extra getaway space and fill that in. And then we're going to put our sensor down as he makes sure that no animals have decided to enter the area. Good. We're going to put our sensor down and then immediately place our wool and our wool, and we are all set to go. You can't tell there's a trap there. There's nothing to detect. But if the person happens to wander in the wrong location, perhaps another sacred tree, instant death without having any idea what hit them. And there's nothing behind to let them know what happened except for a giant crater. Now, in terms of that X-ray of the whole thing, I'll show you that right here so you can see where everything is located. We have our white glass here, which is our stand-in for wool, which is along the bottom. We have the red carpet in the middle, which is our dot of redstone, with the powered rails underneath, specifically powered rails, and then our sensor on top. And all of that is surrounded in this wool. And these 3 green area blocks are where your sensor is that will set off all that TNT and death from below. And that's really all there is to it. Found this video interesting? I would appreciate a like. Maybe even share it with one of your friends or your favorite Minecraft YouTubers to see if they will prank their friends with this video. You can also use this same technique without using the TNT as your way to trigger doors to localize where these areas are. So it's more than just traps. It can have some useful redstone effects. And for more videos like this, do, of course, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you do decide to prank one of your friends with this, do your best to get it on camera and share it over on the Discord. Thanks for stopping by.